Hello my beautiful friends and welcome back to our channel. I thought it would be really worthwhile today bringing you a video on shoulds. So today I just want to offer some quick tips and tricks about these sneaky shoulds that come up in our thoughts all the time. They often just fly under the radar. It's something that usually only comes out after a bit of coaching time or a bit of journaling time and self-coaching yourself. You realize that you have all these shoulds, all these expectations and assumptions for yourself, how you should make decisions and how you should behave and live your life. So these are really valuable to have a bit of a structure, to look into them and make sure that you're making decisions from expectations and assumptions that you like, instead of the ones that your mind offers you by default. Let's get into it. So my first tip on shoulds is that shoulds are never true. And while this is a nice, simple, tidy rule, the reason that shoulds keep coming up and causing chaos in our lives is because they sound really true when just left in our mind. They're very easy for us as the thinker to believe. For this reason, they can easily run under the radar and not be picked up on in your self-coaching, your own journaling work. So you need to have a keen eye looking out for when this should word or any kind of expectation or assumption comes up unqualified. This is one of the reasons why it's so useful to have a coach working with you who can hear your thoughts naturally rolling off and pick up on any of these thought errors that you weren't able to see simply because we all have our own limitations, not because anything's going wrong. You just can't see all of your thoughts. You can't hold that much information and perspective in your mind. So as a coach, we know that these shoulds are never true. So we use them as an opportunity, a prompt to give back to our clients so that they then have the opportunity to actually question that, something that otherwise they were just taking for granted as being true. Now, even though I will stand by shoulds not being objectively simply true, they can be a personal truth for you if you wish for them to be. But the idea is that lots of our should statements aren't analysed in that way and purposefully decided on. They're just something that we listen to by default. What I want for you and your shoulds is for all of those shoulds to be an active choice, right? And until you see or acknowledge that the should isn't factually true, you haven't truly had a choice to adopt, to take on, to believe that thought. You're just accepting it by default. And that is not having choice, that is not having control, that is not having agency. So with tip 1, we're always giving ourselves the opportunity to question the should thought because we know that shoulds are not factually true. Shoulds are assumptions and or expectations. So my second tip builds on this, and it's the idea that if we know that shoulds are not facts, but instead they are built on assumptions and expectations, then we need to make sure that the thoughts, the should thoughts that we're looking at, have the appropriate amount of information, data in them that outlines that expectation or assumption. For example, if your thought is, I should go to the gym, that can easily run under the radar as something that is true because, for example, at the moment, going to the gym is something that is generally accepted as a good thing in society and something that we all should do or could benefit from. But that's not enough information for you. So you've got this expectation or assumption that you should go to the gym, but it needs to be qualified. Why should you go to the gym? So the structure that you can use for this is I should ... because, or I should ... if I want X, Y, and Z. I should go to the gym if I want to be somebody who goes to the gym regularly or is working on their fitness, is starting to build a general wellness regimen, whatever your qualifier is. Once you can actually put some more information into that sentence, that should sentence, now you've actually got something to work with and decide, is that reasoning true for me? I should go to the gym if I want to be more healthy. Now you're like, hey, is going to the gym something that supports being more healthy? Is this a necessary ingredient to being more healthy if I'm saying I should? Or on the other hand, now you can see what I really want is to be more healthy. What are the other things I can do to be more healthy is going to the gym. I should go to the gym. One of the absolute necessary things that need to be done because I want this thing. So all we're doing here is asking your brain to explain yourself. When you say I should and why, you're filling in these gaps that can help you decide whether this reasoning that you're using is true, i.e. it aligns with your values. A personal truth, if you will. Finally, my third tip, and that is changing I should, just swapping out should for want to, and seeing what comes up for you then. So if in this case you could say, I should go to the gym, gets changed to, I want to go to the gym. And then see what comes up in your mind when we phrase it that way. You're probably gonna find some very different thoughts and reasoning and values and ideas come up. Some different perspectives that you wouldn't otherwise get if you left the thought as, I should go to the gym. When there is no right or wrong in the situation, what we need to do is ask questions in a skillful way that pulls out our reasoning that we can't otherwise see, put it onto paper or put it into our coaching session so we can actually decide for ourselves. Truly decide instead of letting things be a default should or want to. Now this works really interesting in another way too. Say you have something like, I should pay my taxes. When you change that to, I want to pay my taxes, this probably isn't ringing especially true for you, but it still brings up more information, right? Because when I ask you, why do you want to pay your taxes? If I forced you to answer that question to see the benefits of paying your taxes, why are you telling me that you want to do this? You'll probably find it's because you'd say, well, I don't want to be fined by the ATO. Well, I don't want to go to jail. Well, I'd like to get my tax return. I'd like to have my business be running in a way where I have all the information that I need. I have my tax return summarized and all my business activity from the previous year so I can build on it for the next year. But let's even just stop at because I don't want to go to jail. I'm pretty sure in Australia, if you don't submit your tax, you can be heavily penalized. I haven't even looked that up because I'm assuming that there are consequences and I know that I don't want to suffer with any of those consequences. But the idea here is that even if there's no joyful sunshine and rainbows reason that you should do something or you want to do something, you're probably doing it for some benefit in one way or another. The benefit of me doing my taxes in this case is I get to avoid the consequences of not doing my taxes. The benefit of deciding to spend time with your children, look after your children, is most people just think about the idea that they are, tired or using up their time, or they should be working on their business or something else instead. But remembering why you want to spend time with your children, because you want to nurture those relationships with them. This is a very different way of being able to extract information out of the shoulds. When you say, I should be spending more time with my children, I should be paying my taxes, I'm willing to bet you probably feel awful in some variation. At least pressure or stress or stuck or maybe overwhelm, something along those lines. And that is because often when we frame a should in this way, we're just looking at the costs. And at any time, we've actually always got this cost benefit, bigger picture. People often think that thought work is just positive thinking, but I actually think a lot of thought work is recognizing how biased we are in our negative thinking, how much time we spend thinking about the negative. It's not even that positive thinking is so much better. It's just that we are so heavily living in the negative thinking, it is useful and reasonable to try and balance that out and be less biased towards the negative. So here's the thing with this third tip, changing should to want to. When you can balance things out and see what the benefits are, even if the benefits are just avoiding a consequence, now you're actually telling yourself the truth. The truth is, I want to say that I should pay my taxes and be a victim about that and think about all the things that I have to do because I'm told to do it and I'm forced to do it. The truth is, nobody's forcing you to do it. The truth is, I want to do it because I don't want to suffer those consequences. And as soon as I tell myself the truth of that, I'm suddenly released of so many of those pressure, resentful, frustrated, out of control feelings. I'm choosing to pay my taxes because I benefit from that. And this is how important the way that you think is. Just in broad strokes here. When I say I should, I feel disempowered. When I realize that I want to, I'm telling myself I want to, I'm telling myself the truth, while I don't get to be the victim and say, poor me anymore, and blame somebody else. What I get back is the empowerment of realizing that this is my life and I make the decisions and everything I have is a product of my choices. Some of my choices don't make me particularly happy or proud, but as long as I get to own them, I get to own the rest of my decisions as well. So there are my quick tips on shoulds. I hope you guys enjoyed them. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your rebuttals, your objections, anything you find interesting or agree with. Let's chat down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.